Okay, so this is another example of an anti-gay crusader being caught gay. This is a Puerto Rican senator. Here he is, bent over, taking a picture, I guess, of his wonderful butthole. But that is, that's being a pretty big butthole anyways. They say, let's see, this is the politician. He's from Puerto Rico. But I mean, this has actually happened over and over again. Okay. So, Jonathan Masters, I'm going to go to the couple of news items, and I'm going to give Kentucky election review, and a little commentary. Okay. So, here's Brad Bowman. It says governor candidate spending millions on advertising. Kentucky's governor's race has had no shortage of drama and plenty of airtime fueling it. I actually did get a chance to take a look at some cable TV, and on all the news channels, there was political ad after political ad, just hit after hit after hit. So this election is getting pretty nasty. It's only 8 days away. 1 week and 1 day, Kentucky's election is actually coming up. Recently, Poland just had their election, but the German government isn't saying anything about it. So, evidently, there was a watershed. The Eurosceptic Law and Justice Party claimed victory. The Eurosceptic Law and Justice Party. So Poland's election, Greece had some elections a couple months ago, and then Canada just had their elections maybe a week ago, and they voted very liberal. And so we're actually going to see a sweep all across the world of liberal governments. So hopefully we see that actually here in America. But the German government, that just happened, the Polish election result. So, coming up right now, there's 3 statewide elections. I want to say Louisiana and, I don't know, another state, and Kentucky. And Kentucky has the big governor's race, but the governor doesn't have all the executive power. In fact, the governor shares power with 5 executive positions: Commissioner of Agriculture, Treasurer, Attorney General, Secretary of State, and Auditor. So all of those 6 executive positions are up for grabs right now. Now, I personally, really like Adam Edelen. I think that Adam Edelen and Alison Grimes has it locked down. So really, your opinion on Secretary of State and Auditor doesn't matter. They are the incumbents. They are the ones who have been running the elections, the websites, the incorporations, the audits. And so Adam Edelen will get the auditor position over Mike Harmon, and Alison Grimes will win Secretary of State. That's actually that's to keep the government going as is. That's actually a conservative stance. Incumbents have a 95% retention rate. Most of the time, if you're an incumbent, you just get your job back. But the fact that they've actually done good jobs at their jobs, Alison Grimes and Adam Edelen will retain their seats. There was a big debate, but it didn't have, Drew Curtis or Blackii Effing Whyte in it. So none of these debates I don't even give 2 shits about. Matt Bevin and Jack Conway have actually distinguished themselves substantially enough for people to actually make a decision between the two. Matt Bevin is liberal when it comes to charter schools. That's the Obama's race to the top. So Matt Bevin wants to do Obama's race to the top, introduce charter schools to Kentucky. And then you have Jack Conway, who's going to reinvigorate Nixon's war on drugs, 1971's war on drugs. And so he's saying that he's the conservative. He's not liberal. He's running from Obama, running from being a Democrat. So you have no idea really what Jack Conway believes. He chose these issues early in the year. These are, going to run as a moderate, not too left, not too far right, and, just go with his carefully chosen. So you can't change his opinion. You can't change his mind. Matt Bevin actually seems like a guy that would think about an issue and change his mind if presented with evidence. Jack Conway does not. He doesn't strike me as that way. It seems like if he sees the evidence, he'll ignore it, deny it, not listen to anybody that has to show him, the medicinal qualities of cannabis. And the thing is you have glaucoma, cancer, you have, anxiety, but there's also a big one that helps with the symptoms of AIDS and chemotherapy. It helps with chemotherapy, even though I would never do chemotherapy ever. There was a big manhunt. There's still a big manhunt, actually, right now. This is 10 in the morning. It's 11 in the morning now. But Kentucky School District had called off. Cumberland County schools are closed because Floyd Ray Cook is running around on foot. Last time he had shot some Tennessee police officer, wounded him, and then he fired a couple shots at state troopers. None of them are dead, but he fired shots at them. At a Tennessee police officer drove into Kentucky. When he came to Kentucky, the state boys actually pulled him over, and he shot at them when they pulled him over. And so there's a manhunt. It's still continuing. They haven't found him. Superintendent Kirk Biggerstaff says the search has people unsettled. Well, yeah, sure. There's a fucking, a cop shooter at her person running around the hills. It doesn't bode well for Floyd Ray Cook. Even if they find him alive, they probably will beat him up severely, and they'll hope that he does pull out, a gun so they could shoot him, since he has already shot at a Tennessee officer during a traffic stop Saturday in Putnam County in Tennessee. And he said the bulletproof vest saved the officer's life. Cook is accused of shooting at the Kentucky trooper later on Saturday. So this has been, 4 or 5 days in the running, and I don't know if he would stick around Cumberland County. It seems like you would try to get out to any county, so actually everybody in that area within maybe a 50-mile radius is in danger. If you think, he's going to come in your house and use your house as a front for his final, takedown. So, look, it's the governor's race. Conway, Bevan. There's Drew Curtis and Heather Curtis. Drew and Heather, they should be trending on Twitter when it comes to the election day. It's 8 days away. And that's the only thing that Joe Girth, I don't even know why anybody would even give him any fucking credit whatsoever. He runs a narrative. He pushes his agenda down the throats of the readers of the Courier Journal, pro-corporate, pro-conservative rag. So, basically the idea of Kentucky elections is if you don't have a big war chest, if you don't have a bunch of money, you can't spend a bunch of advertisements on TV and radio, and you're done. You're done in politics. So it doesn't even matter. But that gives rich people, 1%, those who kiss corporate butt, who gets lots of donations, all the advantages, and regular working class people, none of the advantages. And so that's a big problem, because it really is treating the Kentucky people like they're stupid. It's essentially saying Kentucky people are stupid. They don't know what's going on. So if you just buy a bunch of TV ads and you hit the other guy with a bunch of bad things about why you shouldn't vote for him, then the stupids will come out, vote for a lesser of the two evils, and then, let the chips fall where they may. I predict maybe 30-40% turnout rate. It will be less than 50%. There hasn't been any enthusiasm. There hasn't been any excitement. There's only, like I said, 8 days away, and I remember trying to talk about this maybe 2 months ago, and nobody really wants to talk about the elections. It's hard to determine which individual is going to be better at a position unless you actually truly, look at the thing and say, well, I think this is better. So a lot of opinions actually are coming out about, Conway versus Bevan. They just had a debate at EKU. Oh, yeah, Cumberland County is on the south of Kentucky, south middle, to the right of Bowling Green, to the left of Jamestown, Monticello. The Daniel Boone National Forest is to the left of it. And Pine Knot, where the cop had killed that guy, that pedestrian, or Luke Pridemore shot that guy, supposedly in the bushes, who didn't have a gun. But that happens maybe 2 or 3 counties, away from Cumberland County. Cumberland County is right on the border. It's sort of, Burkesville is the capital, I think. Tompkinsville, Albany, Breeding, Edmonton, Columbia, Russell Springs, Jamestown, Monticello, Glasgow. These are cities that are really close to Cumberland County. So be on alert. Glasgow, the city of Glasgow, you might have, a fugitive running through your town. So, let's see, the elections. Okay, so that's a little bit of news that's happening in Kentucky. The manhunt is still on. They're still after that Ray Cook guy, I think. Was that his name? I don't know. But some old man who shot at some troopers, hasn't killed anybody, but he's on the run and he's considered armed and dangerous, right? So, I think that's a good news brief. So they had a debate. The highlights are very small. Jack is for Kentucky's health care exchange, even though it hit one and just crashed, and so that's going to probably play an issue. He's right on gay marriage. There's lots of things I think he's good and bad on. But ultimately, there's just too many, medical marijuana. He's totally against it. He says that it's all about the kids. You gotta protect the kids. And so Matt Bevin is put in the position of defending, the medicinal use of cannabis. And what he is trying to say is that because he believes in the medical property. He was actually talking about the society as a whole, like, oh, give me a break, it's still out there. The only people who's not getting the medicine are the ones who abide by the laws. And then Conway made a joke about saying he's the only, cannabis is the only medicine that they could think of that's prescribed in joints. And so that's, that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate because he's on the side of Richard Nixon in 1971. Richard Nixon, he wants to increase, what Nixon was doing, and Matt Bevin wants death panels by kicking off the healthcare exchange. So they're pretty much running their party lines. Both are corporate big business, pro-King Cole. Drew Curtis made a very good distinction about him actually talking about the pension issue. Both of them try to say that they're better experts on it. And then he also points out he's right on the legalization, of marijuana. But even bigger than those two things, Drew Curtis had drawn a good distinction between them being in the pockets of the coal industry. And if that's fascism, if you're already in favor in the pockets of big business, government is there to check big business. And if you're already in the pockets of big business, then you're just going to pass laws in favor of corporations, 1%, bankers, against the people. The people won't get any good laws. So they're not very inspiring candidates. So I kind of understand, but there's more candidates in the race. You got Blackii Effing Whyte and you got Drew Curtis. So you got two other candidates who's actually in this race who's not getting much airtime. So between them, I think my vote, it's still up in the air. I mean, I'm going to vote for Drew Curtis or Blackii White. Those are the two people that I'm going to vote for. I think Alison Grimes, Edelen's already got this in the bag. So Stephen Knipper, Mike Harmon, give me a fucking break. Andy Brashear, Whitney Westerfield is going to be a good battle. Whitney Westerfield is impressive. He talks very well. He's confident. And he's actually very pretty. And so he's actually been riding on his man-pretty coattails, for years now. But he's been a part of the establishment in 4 years or so, and he's a new face. So I think that even some Republicans would want to push him back, but he's aimed for a good position. Andy Brashear is a weak candidate. He's got name recognition, and maybe you should actually, as a conservative, vote for Andy Brashear to keep the continuation of the government going. But Andy Brashear is not inspiring. He very much talks like, a Republican or a drawn-up, like a politician, who was sketched out on paper before they unveiled him. So very much packaged, very, he's not inspiring. He doesn't say anything. He's not Adam Edelen. Adam Edelen is a badass when it comes to speaking. He kicked ass at Fancy Farm. Told Matt it was going to hurt, stick your chin out, this one's going to hurt. And he said it's not Christian. It's not Christian to throw 500,000 Kentuckians off a Connect, and he's right. Allison Ball. So I will vote for Andy Brashear. I will vote for Jean Marie Lawson-Spann. I will vote, the only Republican that I'll vote for is Allison Ball, the good Allison. And I'll tell you what, being treasurer, she'll be a bitch with the purse. She will be a bitch. But if the liberals do get in there, you want someone who's a bitch. You want someone who, you know, ties it down as much as they can, and hopefully, you know, the liberals who actually get into office will have to fight her, you know, in order to get, you know, all the funding necessary for all the programs. But it'll be good because if with her keeping tabs and counting every bean and being a good accountant, that should free up the budget for lots of good programs. So I would vote. And Rick Nelson, he had ran away from being called a liberal. I never said I was a liberal. So you're a conservative Democrat. So I can't expect really much different from you, except for you being a part of the establishment. Alison Ball is a good speaker. She's confident, and even though she's a little too cocky, I think she might be, you know, against gay marriage. If that's true, then I probably should, you know, think differently about it. But treasurer has nothing to do with that. It has to do with counting money. So that would be the only Republican. My dream ticket would be Democrat Attorney General, Democrat Secretary of State, Democrat Auditor, Democrat Commissioner of Agriculture, and so Drew Curtis, Blackii White. They're saying Drew Curtis doesn't have a chance at all. So Blackii White's like twice is unlikely to be elected in, but he does represent a very strong constituent of which Drew Curtis could take away. Blackii White's for the hippies. He speaks the truth of power. He is against the prohibition. And so, you know, he's got a lot of common sense position. Being a long shot candidate, you got a greater opportunity to speak the truth. He has done a good job at speaking the truth. So I would want Drew Curtis to sort of close the gap between Jack and Matt in the last couple of days. It's 8 days, and he hasn't closed the gap yet. He said 3 weeks. You know, the electorate look at the candidates 3 weeks before the election. I don't think that's true. I think it's 3 days, or 1 day, or the night before, or that morning. That's when they check the candidates, and sometimes it's the sign that they see right before they go into the voters' booth. Well, I don't know these two guys, but I did see someone sign right outside some of it. So name recognition. So, you know, there's actually a lot of elements that you cannot predict when it comes to elections. So personally, I would love to see Blackii White be governor. I don't think he actually will become governor. So my vote will go to Drew Curtis and Heather Curtis. I like what they're doing. I like the mother, the husband-wife aspect to the whole thing. So it's, you know, husband-wife. They would be a great royal family. They put themselves out there. They're very authentic. Heather Curtis comes across as very authentic. And Drew Curtis becomes, you know, authentic inadvertently. He's confident, so, you know, she's taking care of her man. And she says that she's a check to him. Basically, when Drew gets something in his mind and he just wants to do it, she has to kind of say, okay, go to it, but how are you going to move that mountain, you know, and look at this mountain, and sort of ask enough questions of him so he can work through what it is that he's trying to say that he's doing. So she makes a very good, a good co-pilot, right? She's a good partner. And that's been very inspiring. You just on an anthropological perspective, anthropologically, it's fascinating to watch them. They got a good, happy marriage. And that's a good, you know, marriage to emulate and to, you know, to copy and to, you know, say that, hey, let's try to be like the Curtises. And they seem like they got it together. You know, you never know, right, what's going on behind the curtains. But Jack Conway, he's got 2 daughters and a wife, which we never hear about. Then you have Matt Bevin, who's got a wife and 9 kids. You hear about the 9 kids, but not really about what they think or what they think, you know, of the wife. You don't hear much about her. And I think they're all attractive. I can't remember. I don't know. I really like Heather Curtis. So, you know, Drew's a lucky man. This has nothing to do with, you know, me wanting to be with Heather. I just think she is striking. She's beautiful. She's like a Sarah Palin in a way that she can get away with really saying whatever the hell she wants to in a very snarky manner, and if she's more liberal than Drew, then I think that gives me hope, because that's like an Ashley Judd or an Anna Kasparian, or, you know, somebody. I can talk about issues all day long, but I feel like put it on a pretty face, and you got yourself a good meme maker. Anyways, so that's Drew Curtis for governor, lieutenant governor, Drew and Heather Curtis. So I'm going to vote for it. Then Andy Beshear for Attorney General. He's the Democrat. Whitney Westerfield is an asshole prosecutor, part of the establishment. All the reasons that people would think that he's got a good chance. They're putting some money coming behind him, so they're actually putting out a lot of ads. Adam Edelen, Mike Harmon was like very just, spending money all over the place, private hotels and jets and shit. He's just embarrassing as a politician. Stephen Knipper is even worse. The one running against Alison Grimes. Ryan Quarles is going to give Jean-Marie Spann, a run for her money, but she's in favor of marijuana. She's running ads in favor of the legalization of, medical marijuana to protect cancer patients. So that's Treasurer Todd Hollenbach, Rick Nelson, and Allison Ball. I like Rick Nelson, but I'm not too enthused about him, so I'm going with Allison Ball because I want to see a liberal slate. So I want Drew Curtis and Heather Curtis to be governor and lieutenant governor, Democrats with the Attorney General, Secretary of State, Auditor, Commissioner of Agriculture, which actually is a conservative position because it's keeping the government that we have right now, sort of on the same pace, the same, sort of rate and momentum. Allison, Adam get their seats. Andy Beshear, have Daddy Beshear in the back sort of helping him with the ropes. Jean Marie Lawson Spann, she is beautiful, she's cute, she's adorable, and hopefully she'll carry on what James Comer has already put down with the hemp program, which is the main issue, I think, when it comes to the Commissioner of Agriculture. It's a pretty big issue in general anyways, as is gay marriage. So Allison Ball has to really say some really crappy things on gay marriage for me to jump off of voting for her, but I think we're all liberal and conservative in different areas, and so, okay, I'll pick that. That's my choices. Allison Ball, and then 4 Democrats for the lower executive positions, and then the independent for governor and lieutenant governor. So one last thing, and let's see if I got time. Okay. So the very last thing that I want to mention actually is about Whitney Westerfield. So, just recently, in the very beginning actually of this, I pointed out to that Puerto Rican guy. I was just looking up politicians who got caught on Grindr. There was another guy. There's a North Dakota guy, I don't know, Randy Boning, Republican state representative from Fargo. So Randy Boning, he was an anti-gay politician, just like Roberto Arango was anti-gay until, that naked picture of him bending over, showing, the world his butthole, was caught on Grindr, so he had like a wiener-esque sort of scandal, and then he wound up dropping out. This was a couple years ago. But there's been, every time there's some Republican that says that they're homophobic, they're probably the biggest queers out here. They're probably the most gay, and not in a disparaging way, but they're faggots. You're a faggot. If you say, I hate gay people, you're probably the biggest faggot out here. And that's the way you can tell who the biggest, most queerest are. It's become an obsession for them. Remember that Louis C.K. skit where they're talking about, faggot comes from the burning of sticks, a bundle of sticks, and they would tie, gay people around and light them on fire like a bundle of sticks. But he says that the gay man said that he doesn't talk about gay sex as much as supposedly straight men do. And so that's, remarkable. That's remarkable. So it almost, repression begets, fucked upness, some sort of, disorder or something. So Mark Foley is a Republican congressman from Florida, very anti-gay. Larry Craig, anti-gay. He's the one with the wide stance. Ed Schrock, Republican congressman from Virginia. Larry Craig was a Republican senator from Idaho. Eric Massa, Republican congressman from New York. And they were all anti-gay, very staunch anti-gay, very much against, any legislation or progressive legislation when it came to gay marriage or gay rights. And so that's very unfortunate, but it even sucks later on when it comes to find out that they were very much fucking gay. And Eric Massa, he was supposedly was groping some of his pages, and then when they asked him about it, he was like, of course, it was my 50th birthday. That's what you do on your 50th birthday. You play, I don't know, they say Kill the Old Man was the game they're playing. Let's play Kill the Old Man. It was his 50th birthday. Of course you grope some of your mail pages when it's your 50th birthday. So that's, it's not only underage, but also is gay. And so for him to be passing, any of these guys to be passing anti-gay legislation while being gay themselves, what fucking self-hating assholes. They're not just ruining it for themselves, but they're ruining for, thousands of gay people that want to be them. And also it shows, that they're gay. So if you're like, hey, I want to end gay marriage, and gay marriage bothers you, and that's all you talk about is gay marriage this, gay marriage that, then you probably, you probably want to just want all the dicks in your mouth, in 1 second. You'll be like, I'm not gay, and all of a sudden, just give me all the dicks. Or if you're a woman, just give me all the vagina. That's what happens. That's the psyche. That's how the mind works. So the governor's race boils down to perception. It's boring. So that's essentially my take on everything. There is 5 executive positions in the governor, lieutenant governor's race. It's actually 7 statewide positions. The lieutenant governor is mostly sinecure, but they get some power. Most of their power is how much influence they have with the governor. And if the governor is a dick and doesn't want them to have any power, then they won't get any. But they get some institutional power. They have to be on boards, and they're the voting member on different boards, like 7 different boards, and they get paid $100,000. So $117,000. So they can do something with $117,000. That's 3 jobs you could create in addition to paying for yourself. You get, live in the mansion, so I would think all your expenses are paid for. You probably don't even need $117,000 in addition, to all your needs, gas, and everything being paid for. So that's, Whitney Westerfield. That's what I think about. I think he's the biggest, queer out there. Whitney Westerfield is gay, and he hasn't recognized that. And he's a very talented politician. Speaks well, very confident. Got those baby blues, right? Those pretty baby blues. Got that baby face, fat, chubby baby face. But that's, he gets pedicures. He takes care of himself. He makes sure he's all pretty in the mirror. He's gay. And he hates gays. That's the biggest queer out here. Is number 1, top fag in Kentucky is Whitney Westerfield. And I apologize for using that terms, but frankly, he deserves it. You know what I mean? Like, how do you feel when people discriminate against you because of your sexuality? You're gay. Whitney Westerfield is gay. He gets pedicures. That's gay. So let's take his manhood away. Let's treat him the way he's been treating gay people. He's been actively discriminating against them, and that's bullshit. All the fucking Republicans in Kentucky have been doing it. I would say Matt Bevin's been leading the charge, and then that's why you get fucking crazy Kim Davis. There's 120 county clerks, so the fact that only 3 of them had any problems with it actually bodes well for Kentucky. It means that 117 counties did their jobs and recognized that gay people are people too, and if they want to get married, then, c'est la vie. Right to work, that's another issue between, Bevin and Conway. I want to see Kentucky's Employee Free Choice Act to get passed. I think it'd be a tremendous opportunity for unions in all, industries everywhere. But that won't happen. Conway's running to the right, and Bevin just says, let's knock the fucking unions out. So this is actually just on the unions, there's like some issues that's just like on money, poverty, unions. Democrats are better. They are lesser of the 2 evils, and I hate, you vote for who you want. So when I vote for Adam Edelen, when I vote for Drew Curtis, when I vote for, any of the other ones I like, Heather, when I vote for them, I feel good because I actually voted for them. Alison Grimes, I'll vote for those candidates because I think they would do a better job. And that's not the lesser of the 2 evils. I think that they actually have, intellectual prowess. And so some of the other ones I might have to, I think Andy Beshear, I'm sort of leaning on the lesser of the 2 evils. He's not inspiring, but he is a Democrat. But his father was homophobic, so he's pretty, gay. And, Westerfield is pretty, I don't know. I'm voting for the Democrat because I'm not a conservative. I think that liberals need their day in the sun, and especially for Kentucky, give me a fucking break. As being conservatives the whole time, even Democrats are conservatives in Kentucky. So that's my Monday morning podcast. For all those like, what is he thinking about? John Masters out of Virginia. Peace.